The disabled tyrant's beloved pet fish. Transmigration. Chapter 119. Mu Tianxiao was taken away by the imperial guards. The emperor dispersed the crowd. How to punish the sixth prince? It would have to wait until they returned to the imperial palace. At this time, the man who was concubine Lu's old friend also started to talk. The emperor discovered that this person was actually very drunk and was not thinking straight. In his befuddlement, he somehow managed to run over here to the hunting ground and enter concubine Lu's tent. After this person became sober, he finally realized what a huge mistake he had made. However, he already couldn't remember anything that he did while he was drunk. This entire thing sounded completely like an accident that happened due to inebriation. However, the hunting ground was defended by numerous guards. Normal civilians definitely wouldn't be able to come in here. Moreover, he was drunk and also didn't know the situation within the hunting grounds. How could he have found the place where concubine Lu was staying so accurately? Therefore, someone must have led this man inside and guided him into concubine Lu's tent. To be able to do this kind of thing, that person must have a fairly high status. The emperor had already captured the sixth prince. He steeled his heart and focused the investigation solely around the sixth prince. After a round of effort, he actually did manage to discover that the horse carriage of the sixth prince's wife had left and entered the hunting ground twice. Because the sixth prince had been accompanying the carriage each time and the sixth prince's wife was pregnant, the guards didn't thoroughly examine the inside of the sixth prince's carriage. The emperor sent someone to verify the whereabouts of the sixth prince's wife and discovered that after Lady Liang entered the hunting ground, she never left again. Looks like the carriage had been used specifically to transport the man. The sixth prince actually went so far as to use his pregnant wife as an alibi. The emperor recalled how Mu Tianxiao had cared very little about Lady Liang's health and deliberately used his unborn child to curry favor before. The emperor didn't find this too surprising anymore. However, after transporting the man inside, there must have been someone else close to concubine Lu who received him. The emperor investigated all of the people that entered and exited concubine Lu's tent. He discovered that around this time, only an old Momo entered and exited frequently. The emperor ordered people to capture this Momo and interrogate her. He discovered that this Momo was originally a servant of the seventh prince's mother, concubine Li. Because concubine Li and concubine Lu were of similar ages and both had sons, they had a pretty good relationship. Concubine Lu really liked this Momo's embroidery skills. Therefore, concubine Li gifted this old Momo to concubine Lu. It was also this Momo, who upon seeing the furious face of the emperor, immediately started kowtowing on the ground non-stop and recounting with snot and tears running down her face. The sixth prince was threatening her. It was he who ordered her to place a man into concubine Lu's tent while she was sleeping. Sure enough, it was the sixth prince again. After some pondering, the emperor finally woke up. Why did the sixth prince purposely pick this old Momo to bring the man into the tent? It was because this Momo not only served concubine Lu, she was also a present from concubine Li. If he hadn't known that the sixth prince was the true culprit behind the scene, at the end of his investigation into the matter regarding concubine Lu, he would have definitely found his way to concubine Li. Concubine Li was the birth mother of the seventh prince. The emperor had thought the sixth prince was trying to kill two birds with one stone. Actually, that wasn't all. In this one maneuver, the sixth prince actually plotted against all of the other princes. No wonder the sixth prince had to take such a dangerous gamble and proceed with everything even after learning that all of the blood's results had passed. Because he was just a single step away from moving into prime position to inherit the throne. This was really a huge enticement. If Jingwang and the eighth prince were really discovered to have muddled up the royal bloodline, The seventh prince would have also become implicated because of this. By that time, the sixth prince would have been the only candidate left for the emperor to choose from. Even though the emperor was used to seeing all sorts of backhanded tactics, he still felt a chill going down his back because of Mu Tianxiao's viciousness. Even more so, he never imagined that the sixth prince had managed to hide himself so well. Luckily, with the help of Jingwang and his family, the emperor sensed the sixth prince's ambition ahead of time. Mixing up the bottles of blood and marking them with symbols was Princess Consort Jing's idea. This was to force the sixth prince's subordinate out of the crowd. Physician Pan was actually followed by Jingwang himself. It was also Jingwang who invited the emperor over to sit next door to the sixth prince's tent and listened in. There was no evidence more convincing than hearing it with your own ears. If it can be said that the emperor was still considering Jingwang before, now that the sixth prince had been unmasked and exposed his true self, the emperor also finally made a certain decision. Imperial father-in-law, are you all right? Li Yu was a bit worried about the emperor. Ever since the emperor exposed the sixth prince in front of everyone, he started to seem somewhat absent-minded. Grandpa wasn't happy. What to do? The boys gathered together and mumbled for a while. Figuring out a plan, De Bao immediately went to where head steward Luo was and obtained a cup of tea, holding it with both hands. Head steward Luo hastily went to stop him. Little heir, you can't. Careful not to get burned. Li Yu shook his head with a smile. The emperor's tea was always at the most perfect temperature, ready to be consumed and not hot at all. Children should learn to do some chores anyways. Moreover, this was something that De Bao was happy to do. De Bao wanted to make his grandfather happy. He walked shakily but held the teacup very steadily. The emperor smiled as he watched the small boy bring the tea in front of him. Just as he was about to lean over to take it, Si Bao jumped out behind De Bao and shouted, to stop De Bao. The emperor was confused. Although the emperor favored De Bao without limit, it didn't mean that the emperor didn't favor the other boys as well. The emperor was very curious as to what Si Bao wanted to do. Si Bao's little chubby hand lifted the cover of the teacup. He tilted his head and noisily drank several mouthfuls of the tea. Then, patting his tea-filled tummy, he nodded his head towards De Bao with a serious little expression. After this, De Bao continued to walk over, handing the tea that Si Bao had drank from to the emperor. This. For a second, even the emperor couldn't figure out what's going on. Li Yu was embarrassed. These two little dummy. How could they have the emperor drink leftover tea? Li Yu was just about to ask back the teacup that was slightly covered in Si Bao's saliva when head steward Luo suddenly knelt down and said with extreme joy, Your Majesty, the little young masters are showing such filial piety. They're testing the tea for poison for you. Head steward Luo did it often himself, so he was extremely familiar with this process. Of course, head steward Luo wouldn't directly drink from the teacup, however the general idea was the same. Li Yu. No way, did the boys even know something like this? It didn't seem very likely. Being an emperor was probably one of the most complicated jobs in this world. Li Yu still hadn't been able to finish explaining to the children the uniqueness of being an emperor. Perhaps it was because the children often stayed in Ganqing Palace and got used to seeing head steward Luo doing it, therefore, they quietly learned it as well. Perhaps in the children's eyes, the emperor was someone who always ate leftovers. However, there was one thing that head steward Luo said correctly. This was indeed an expression of the children's filial piety towards the emperor. With a smile, the emperor accepted the teacup. He didn't even avoid the Si Bao saliva out of disgust and took a sip directly from the cup. Although his sons always made him feel disappointed, there was still new hope in this world. Experiencing two disturbances back to back, the emperor was no longer in the mood to hunt. He carelessly announced the end of this year's hunting festival and prepared to pack up and head back to court. Jingwang led Li Yu away and walked slowly towards their tent. When they came to the hunting grounds, the couple's hearts were both strung tight like bows because they assumed that the sixth prince was extremely likely to act here. Now that the sixth prince had fallen, even though the emperor didn't actually say anything definite to Jingwang, they were both extremely aware internally that today pretty much determined the path of their future. Liu already knew a long time ago that Jingwang had the protagonist's halo. He remembered that in the original novel, Jingwang had experienced so much suffering before obtaining the throne, yet now, it was a lot more effortless and relaxing. However, why the heck not? Jingwang had already suffered enough in the original novel, he should be allowed to feel more relaxed. During the events of this day, Jingwang was mainly responsible for secretly tracking the sixth prince's every move. Yet he still kept an eye out on Liu and the children at all times. Although Liu was in a public place with many people around, he was also very close in proximity to the sixth prince. However, Liu wasn't afraid at all. Because he knew that Jingwang was right beside him, silently protecting him. "Tianqi, are you tired?" Liu asked quietly. Jingwang shook his head, turned around and held Liu's hand. The couple had a little leisure time to themselves and weren't in a hurry to rush back. Instead, they watched the hazy moonlight for a while. Once this trip ended, everything would change. "I will treat you well. Always." Jingwang moved his lips, saying this silent promise. Liu blinked his eyes, telling him, "I know." Liu was just about to say something more when a shadow suddenly charged out of thorny bushes and directly prostrate on the ground before him. Liu jumped in fright. Standing tall and moving Liu behind him, Jingwang went to draw his sword. Liu saw who was it clearly and hastily said, "Tianqi, wait a second." The person who came used an extremely awkward posture to kneel on the ground. "Your Highness Jingwang, Princess Consort Jing, this humble consort begs your assistance." It was the sixth prince's princess consort. Liang Suyun was kneeling in front of them with disheveled hair. Not far behind Lady Liang came a group of people, running over and yelling Lady Liang repeatedly. However, Lady Liang seemed like she was deaf and only looked at Liu and Jingwang with tears running down her face. "What's going on here?" Liu was stunned. Lady Liang knelt in front of him and Jingwang. This was clearly not appropriate. Seeing Lady Liang's bulging stomach, Liu felt even more uneasy. "Don't be like this. Get up quickly," Liu said, feeling rather hard-pressed. In terms of hierarchy, he and Lady Liang were considered as sisters-in-law. However, with the current relationship of Jingwang with the sixth prince, they were more like enemies. Liu himself and the sixth prince's wife only saw each other a few times briefly and inquired about each other's well-being slightly at most. Furthermore, propriety dictated that men and women weren't allowed to interact too familiarly with each other. At the very least, their relationship wasn't in the same level of friendship as he had with the princess of Jinju. "I'm begging you, please help me." This humble consort could only ask your. Lady Liang refused to get up. The servants beside her wanted to help her up, she also refused and remained kneeling and wiping her tears. Liu and Jingwang exchanged looks. Liu asked, "What's the matter?" The emperor had ordered the imperial guards to take the sixth prince away. Lady Liang must have received the news where she was staying. To be honest, Liu and Jingwang both contributed notably to the sixth prince's current predicament. Yet Liang Shi still wanted their help. This was really rather awkward. Also, Liu wasn't too certain, was this a new scheme? "Please forgive this consort. This consort knows that this is too impetuous, but this consort would like to see my lord husband. This consort begs for your help, just this once." The emperor had exposed the sixth prince's true face in front of everyone. Now the words sixth prince were practically poison. No one wanted to touch it. All of those people, who had even the slightest relations with the sixth prince previously, now wished nothing more than to create a gulf between them. After Lady Liang learned that the sixth prince was imprisoned by the emperor, she fainted several times. When she woke up, she was determined to see the sixth prince no matter what. He was her husband after all. Although he treated her very differently than before, Lady Liang couldn't just leave him be and not care about him. She still had their child in her womb. However, who could she ask? She asked concubine Zhang, but concubine Zhang also didn't have any ideas. She even hid and refused to see her daughter-in-law. She tried asking the Marquis of Dingbei, but the Marquis of Dingbei, who was actually pretty satisfied with the sixth prince previously, refused. Now that the sixth prince got in trouble, as his in-laws, the Marquis of Dingbei couldn't cast away this relationship fast enough and practically wished that Lady Liang would divorce the sixth prince immediately. Why would he be willing to help Lady Liang with this? On the side of the emperor was even less likely to offer Lady Liang a chance. Every time she tried, head steward Luo always came out and instructed her to take good care of herself and her child. Lady Liang already asked everyone and begged everyone. In the end, she really had no other choice and could only thicken her skin to beg Jing Wang and Princess Consort Zheng. She heard that one of the reasons why the sixth prince had done what he did was to frame Jing Wang. However, other than Jing Wang, Lady Liang could no longer think of anyone who would be able to help her. Li Yu repeated, Lady Liang wanted our help to see the sixth prince. Lady Liang hastily nodded her head, Princess Consort Jing, this consort only wished to see him one more time, even from a distance. Please. Lady Liang bowed to them non-stop. Li Yu saw her carefully avoiding harm to her stomach and couldn't take it anymore. They were enemies with the sixth prince, yet he felt pity for the sixth prince's wife. Was this something too outrageous? Careful, Jing Wang warned him with his eye expression. This consort really has no ill intentions. This consort is only begging for help. The sixth prince's wife was practically in complete despair. Tianqi, Li Yu looked at Jing Wang, wanting to say something but then hesitated. As a parent, he could sense from how Lady Liang always carefully protected her stomach, that Lady Liang wasn't actually pretending. Although the sixth prince was detestable, Lady Liang herself never harmed them before. Li Yu unconsciously wanted to help her. This help really didn't take much effort from him. They didn't need to do much. For Lady Liang to see the sixth prince, then not going through emperor was impossible. Li Yu didn't really want to do anything else either. There's no need to be so vigilant. At most he would only help by asking the emperor for a favor so that the emperor could grant permission for this couple to see each other, that's all. Can we help just this once? Li Yu asked in a small voice. Xiao Yu was soft-hearted. Jing Wang understood this and squeezed Li Yu's hand briefly. Although there was a risk, the sixth prince's wife was still within his area of control. With a smile, Jing Wang looked at Li Yu. I'm here for you, you decide. Li Yu. Li Yu felt a sweetness in his heart. Just at this moment, the system that fell silent after announcing the Share the Nation main mission suddenly gave a new notification. Host, the side quest Compassion has reached its requirement. Helping Lady Liang was a side quest? Li Yu felt it was very strange. The shitty system said Share the Nation was the last main mission. However, even after the sixth prince was captured, this main mission didn't update. Li Yu presumed that he needed to wait until Jing Wang ascended the throne. No matter, he had enough. The system told him that he could freely choose which side quests to do. Li Yu couldn't even remember when was the last time he had done a side quest. The reward of compassion is an ancient medicine formula. Host, do you wish to start the side quest? An ancient medicine formula? Li Yu was stunned briefly. What was this doing here and what was it used for? The existence of the shitty system was just to screw him over. Usually when it didn't need to explain something, it won't explain it. Just like the fish pillow. When the system gave that to Li Yu, it also didn't tell him how to use it. Li Yu had to figure it out himself and be creative. Actually, an ancient medicine formula didn't sound too bad. It was better than nothing at least. If he couldn't use it for a while, then he could store it until then. Who knows, maybe one day it would come in handy. Furthermore, he wasn't doing this for some kind of reward either. Instead, he really did want to help the ignored and abandoned Lady Liang. End chapter. The disabled tyrant's beloved pet fish. Transmigration. Chapter 120. Since Li Yu decided that he wanted to help Lady Liang, he didn't want to make Lady Liang make another trip. Immediately he pulled Jing Wang along and headed back to request an audience with the emperor. After the emperor learned that Li Yu wanted to help Lady Liang, he felt very flabbergasted. However, remembering how Princess Consort Jing had educated his sons, he felt like this was expected from the kind-hearted Li Yu. He wants to do this, what about you? The emperor asked Jing Wang, also wanting to know Jing Wang's opinion. Jing Wang nodded, expressing his support for Li Yu. Currently, the emperor was happy to grant the wishes of the Jing couple, since it's like this, Zhen will allow it. The emperor was originally going to warn them of something, but after thinking some more, he shut his mouth. Li Yu quickly brought the news to Lady Liang. Lady Liang was afraid that the imperial guards might obstruct her way and begged Li Yu to go together with her. Li Yu hesitated briefly, then thought, since he started this, he might as well finish it to the end. After obtaining Jing Wang's approval, they went to the front of the tent where the sixth prince was being detained. Taking another step forward from here was definitely impossible. Li Yu was very careful himself. Furthermore, it wasn't he who was visiting the sixth prince anyways. Lady Liang gave 1,000 thanks and entered the tent. Seeing the completely disheveled Mu Tianxiao who had his arms and legs shackled, Lady Liang started shedding tears from her swollen eyes again. Xuěshān, how did you get here? As soon as Mu Tianxiao saw his wife, he was overjoyed by the surprise. The guards responsible for watching him originally didn't allow him to see anyone. Why would Lady Liang appear here? Did this signify that the emperor had softened? Did Imperial Father let you come? Has he forgiven me? Mu Tianxiao asked urgently. This consort came by my own volition. This consort went to beg Jing Wang and Princess Consort Jing for help so that this consort could obtain Imperial Father-in-law's approval. Terrified that the sixth prince would be displeased, Lady Liang explained timidly. Jing Wang again. As soon as Mu Tianxiao heard Jing Wang's name, his expression immediately changed. Pushing away his wife's hands in irritation, he said, "You could have begged anyone else, why did you have to beg him? Don't you know that it was him who did this to me?" The sixth prince had pondered extensively why he had failed and felt like he had fallen into Jing Wang's plot. The emperor only observed him closely because he had listened to Jing Wang's slander and lies. The sixth prince pushed all of the blame on Jing Wang. Lady Liang wiped away her tears, not knowing how to answer. Should she tell the sixth prince that currently, there was no one else willing to help them? Since he was already caught, Mu Tianxiao couldn't be bothered with continuing his pretense. He cursed out Jing Wang's entire family loudly, not even letting off Jing Wang's young sons, insulting them as unpleasantly as possible. After cursing enough, he seemed to have finally remembered something and turned his head to look at Lady Liang. His tone returned to being gentle. "Xuěshān, don't cry anymore." He reached out and helped Lady Liang wipe away her tears, saying expectantly, "Since you came, can you help me plead with Imperial Father? For the sake of the child in your womb, he will definitely let me out. I promise I will treat you well in the future." Lady Liang heard him promise all the time, yet his face was covered by a fake smile that had no warmth at all. She felt a wave of sharp pain in her heart. How had she fallen for the sixth prince's deception before? This husband, who always looked gentle and kind, clearly only had himself in his heart. Li Yu and Jing Wang stood right outside of the tent. When the sixth prince was cursing them non-stop, they also heard it. Jing Wang originally didn't care about getting insulted. However, once the sixth prince started to insult Xiao Yu and even the children, Jingwang's expression turned dark as he squeezed his sword tightly. Tianqi, you better not. Li Yu hastily grabbed Jingwang's arm. When he heard the sixth prince insult his children and his husband, Li Yu practically wished nothing more than to beat the sixth prince black and blue. However, seeing Jingwang about to teach the sixth prince a lesson, he knew that this was really not acceptable. Mu Tianxiao was already the emperor's prisoner. It wasn't appropriate to beat him up out here, right in the eyes of the public. With Jingwang's current position, playing tricks was fine, personally doing it himself was definitely unnecessary. Not to mention, it would make the emperor suspicious again. In a small voice, Li Yu whispered to Jingwang a few methods that could make the sixth prince suffer. After Jingwang finished listening, he looked at Li Yu, who was just soft-hearted enough to help Lady Liang and felt somewhat speechless. Li Yu mischievously stuck his tongue out and said, "An eye for an eye. Lady Liang is unfortunate, but the sixth prince did so many unacceptable things. I definitely wouldn't forgive the sixth prince because of her." Xiao Yu was always reasonable. Jingwang smiled and rubbed his head. Li Yu was successful in persuading him this way. The sixth prince continued to spit venomous words. The two of them looked at each other and pretended not to hear him for the time being. Lady Liang came to see the sixth prince because she wanted to know his situation. In addition to that, she was hoping she could convince him to completely turn over a new leaf and behave himself accordingly. The sixth prince had ambitions for the throne. As his bedside companion, Lady Liang could see this to some extent. Before, Lady Liang had thought that it's normal for husbands to have their own goals to strive for. As a wife, she actually couldn't lend a hand anyways. Furthermore, what woman didn't wish for a chance at advancement? Because of this, even though Lady Liang didn't participate in his schemes, she also didn't stop him. Now, Lady Liang regretted it. Regretted being enticed by the possibility back then. If she had attempted to convince the sixth prince to live with lesser ambitions, how much better would that have been? She already didn't dare to make any unreasonable requests. She only wished to live peacefully with her husband and child. Lady Liang did her best to persuade the sixth prince. The sixth prince only opened his eyes wide in incredulousness. It's already enough that Lady Liang refused to listen to him and help him. Why did she have to turn around and criticize him? Didn't she obtain her title as a princess consort because of him? If he was imprisoned by the emperor, what good would that bring her in the end? With resentment growing in his heart, the sixth prince had another plan now. With a cold, dark smile, he said to Lady Liang, "What you said was reasonable. Suyun, come over here. I have another secret I want to tell you." Lady Liang was completely unguarded against Mu Tianxiao. When he called her, she immediately moved over and suddenly found the chains of Mu Tianxiao's shackles wrapped tightly around her neck. "Tianxiao, what are you doing?" Surprised and scared, Lady Liang shouted loudly in alarm. "Don't move." Mu Tianxiao held onto her neck and coldly yelled towards the outside of the tent, "Someone come inside right now. I want to see the emperor, or I'll kill her. I'll kill her." These words completely sent the sixth prince and Liang Shi's relationship to the grave. Lady Liang looked towards Mu Tianxiao with tears in her eyes, feeling like her heart was being slowly choked to death. Jingwang and Li Yu were just outside. Shocked by the sudden turn of events, they led the guards and charged inside. Seeing the sixth prince threatening his wife, Li Yu didn't even know what to say. The sixth prince's eyes were bloodshot, expression like a devil. He mumbled relentlessly about seeing the emperor. A guard had already run off to report. Li Yu saw Lady Liang struggled painfully and wanted to help. However, he was also afraid of the sixth prince becoming vicious and really hurt Lady Liang. "Mu Tianxiao, are you still human? She's your wife. She has your child in her womb." Li Yu felt extreme injustice for Lady Liang. Why was he always encountering things more unbelievable than fiction? The sixth prince scoffed a few times, a hint of a tear seemed to flash across the corner of his eyes. I can't even protect myself, what's the point of having a wife or child? The sixth prince said indifferently. The emperor arrived very quickly. Facing the sixth prince's threat, the emperor was extremely furious. Mu Tianxiao, have you gone insane? Release Lady Liang this instance. The emperor shouted. Imperial father. You're here. Please listen to my last words. I remember now. I didn't actually do anything wrong. I was framed by Jing Wang. Imperial father, you don't know how crafty he is. Everything was all part of his plan. Mu Tianxiao did his best to explain himself. Jing Wang listened to the side, lofty and unmoving. After the emperor finished listening, he only shook his head in disappointment. Enough, Tianxiao. Wasn't framing concubine Lu your idea? Didn't you get physician Pan involved in all of this? Weren't you the one who sent your subordinate into the Jing estate to steal Kai's blood? Are you saying all of this was something that Jing Wang had forced you to do? Mu Tianxiao was stunned. Imperial father. Why was the emperor even aware of him sending his subordinate to obtain the little heir's blood? In a split moment, Mu Tianxiao felt enlightened. He suddenly figured everything out. So Jing Wang had known from that time and guessed what he planned to do already. How hilarious! Just when he thought he had seized the other's weakness, his opponent was already waiting for him to walk directly into the trap himself. Imperial father, all of this was really Jing Wang's plot against me. Mu Tianxiao furiously wanted to expose Jing Wang. Enough. The emperor interrupted him coldly. Why would Zhen believe someone who wouldn't even show mercy to his own wife and not believe in Jing Wang? Tianxiao, there's a sentence that you often say to escape from Zhen's punishment. Today, Zhen's bestow it back onto you. All of this is only your one-sided story. Imperial father, stunned, Mu Tianxiao actually started laughing wildly, as if the emperor was telling a joke. After laughing, he gnashed his teeth in anger. Pei. Aren't you just biased towards Jing Wang? You have never believed me. The sixth prince spat and stared at Jing Wang with the gaze of a trapped beast. He also stared at the emperor the same way. The imperial guards had circled behind him. With the handle of a blade, a guard swung at the back of the sixth prince's neck. The sixth prince howled at the top of his lungs at the same time. What are you waiting for? Liu. Liu realized from Mu Tianxiao's sudden words that the sixth prince's hidden accomplice must be somewhere within the vicinity. Someone had already borrowed the chaos to pull out a dagger and stab towards the emperor. This was the sixth prince's final act. It was to be used only when it was most necessary. A frantic strike towards the person that he hated the most. Mu Tianxiao hated the circumstances of his birth and hated Jing Wang, who stole his everything. However, the person that he hated the most in the end was the person who had never liked him from the start, who still disregarded him no matter how much effort he had spent trying to gain his favor, his father. He knew the emperor wouldn't kill him. However, he couldn't take it anymore. He didn't want to return to being the transparent person like he was back then. At this moment, Liu was the closest to the emperor. He subconsciously pushed the emperor aside. However, he didn't have any time to dodge himself and accidentally exposed himself in front of the dagger. Xiao Yu. A myriad of sounds roared out of Jing Wang's chest. Pulling out his sword, he anxiously charged over. Time seemed to have frozen in this instance. Liu closed both of his eyes in terror. A whistle of air flew past his ears. There was also a cacophony of voices. He waited for a while. There was no pain. Liu opened his eyes once again. A servant stood right in front of him with a dagger in hand. The pointy end of the dagger was only a finger's width away from him. With a clank, the dagger fell to the ground. Jing Wang's sword had already pierced through this person's chest from the back. Jing Wang had saved him. Tianqi, I'm fine. Liu yelled excitedly. Jingwang pulled out the sword coldly and kicked the servant to the side. He caught Li Yu, who had jumped over, within his arms. The sixth prince was pressed to the ground by a group of imperial guards, unable to move. Lady Liang had already been saved and was watching all of this in horror. It was hard to imagine that in the end, he didn't even manage to touch the emperor's dragon robes. The sixth prince was extremely despondent. He suddenly saw a palace beauty standing in the crowd of onlookers. This person's face was lovely, like a celestial fairy from a painting. His indifferent yet exquisitely charming eyes quietly observed everything. Mu Tianxiao looked at this person avidly. After thinking for a while, he finally remembered who this was. This was the emperor's new favorite, concubine Chu. A chess piece that he had sent to the emperor's bed personally, one of his people. "You heir, help me." Laying on the ground, Mu Tianxiao begged wordlessly. He still had hope. Right now, Chu Yanyu was his last hope. Chu Yanyu seemed to have also seen him as well, giving him a smile from far away that was filled with the same docile meekness of their youth. Then, Chu Yanyu took all of his hope, turned and left mercilessly, without looking back. After the shocking scene, the emperor wasn't harmed. However, towards the sixth prince who dared to try assassinating him, the emperor was no longer as courteous as before. As he mumbled "just kill me" repeatedly, Mu Tianxiao was trussed up completely by the guards and got dragged off. Lady Liang sat on the ground, crying uncontrollably. "Tianqi!" Li Yu hugged Jingwang tightly. Just now he was really scared. At that time, he had figured out the target was the affectionate grandpa of the children, the emperor, who was also Jingwang's father. The sixth prince's assassination attempt was too sudden. Other than trying to save a life, there was pretty much no time to think about anything else. Jingwang didn't blame Li Yu for his recklessness. Instead, he only embraced him and rubbed his head briefly. Li Yu keenly discovered that Jingwang's face color didn't seem right. "What's the matter? Are you feeling uncomfortable anywhere?" Li Yu asked in concern. Jingwang really looked unwell. Gently releasing Li Yu, he pressed a hand to his chest. Li Yu had never seen him gasp for breath so harshly before. Jingwang suddenly covered his mouth and coughed violently. Black-colored blood seeped out from between his fingers. "Tianqi, what's wrong?" Li Yu was frightened stiff. End chapter. The disabled tyrant's beloved pet fish. Transmigration. Chapter 121. The emperor also panicked. Jingwang better be fine. He hastily ordered the imperial guards to bring Jingwang back to his tent. Then he summoned all of the nearby imperial physicians to see to Jingwang. Jingwang suddenly coughed up blood. Li Yu was even more worried than the emperor. In his memory, people only cough up blood when they were either heavily injured or seriously ill. Jingwang didn't have any injuries on him. So what illness did he have? Even though they stayed together all day long, he didn't notice anything at all. He didn't seem to be a qualified princess consort here. Li Yu was both remorseful and worried for Jingwang. The imperial guards came over to help bring Jingwang away. Li Yu jumped up and insisted on accompanying him. Jingwang coughed up blood, but his mind was still very clear. Laying on a stretcher, he held Li Yu's hand, wanting Li Yu to feel more at ease. In front of Jingwang, no matter what he indicated, Li Yu always nodded in agreement. However, in reality, how could he feel at ease? If Jingwang collapsed, his sky would also fall. What should he do? Some people, when in a panic, would unexpectedly become more level-headed. Li Yu was being like this at this time. He still had the children to think about. If Jingwang was sick, then he needed to support this family. He couldn't only focus on his own distress and pain. He had to think of what to do with the children while trying to support Jingwang. After returning to the tent, Li Yu quickly wiped away the faint tears at the corner of his eyes. First, he went to take a look at the children. The children were being cared for by Wang Shi. When they saw Fish Dad, they all became very happy. Li Yu sorrowfully told them that their father Jingwang was sick and asked them to avoid being noisy. Then he continued to entrust their care to Wang Shi. After Wang Shi learned that Jingwang was sick, he was also extremely anxious. However, what the princess consort said was correct. The little masters needed to be taken care of as well. He couldn't let His Highness worry while he was sick. Wang Shi knelt down and earnestly requested Li Yu to take good care of Jingwang. Li Yu agreed. After that, he guarded next to Jingwang's side, watching him without blinking. The imperial physicians came one after another, all of them asked Li Yu to rest several times. Li Yu remained sitting there. Other than asking about Jingwang's condition, he ignored everything else. Tianqi, how are you feeling? Li Yu touched Jingwang's cheek, full of worry. Jingwang gave him a smile. Not bad. After coughing up the blood, Jingwang's face color got better. His breathing also became smoother. Li Yu felt like Jingwang wasn't lying to him. However, several imperial physicians had assessed him multiple times. For some unknown reason, they still haven't said what's wrong with him. The longer the medical examination dragged onward, the more chaotic Li Yu's heart became. The imperial physicians weren't saying anything. Did this indicate that the illness was very serious, that even the physicians didn't know how to cure it, or is that they weren't confident in treating it? Your Highness Jingwang, this official has a few more questions to ask. Please answer truthfully. A rather elderly-looking imperial physician came to ask after discussing with the other physicians. Li Yu looked inquisitively at Jingwang. If the physicians asked something too complicated, Jingwang would have to write. Who knew if Jingwang was capable of doing that in his current state? Jingwang actually wasn't that ill. Since the physician wanted to ask, Jingwang nodded his head in agreement. Li Yu immediately went over to the table and grabbed the brush and paper for him. The imperial physician asked, before your highness coughed up blood, did your highness feel ill anywhere else? Jingwang picked up the brush and wrote blood surging, chest aching, throat on fire. The physician asked cautiously, have your highness ever felt like this before? Jingwang carefully searched his memories and nodded his head, writing yes, but I didn't cough up blood. The physician followed up with, then does your highness remember when it first started? Jingwang wrote more than a year ago. More than a year? Li Yu's eyes reddened, why didn't you tell me? Jingwang hurriedly wrote to respond to him, you caught a cold and fell ill. I was anxious and felt unwell. I immediately got better and didn't think too much of it. I caught a cold. Li Yu's body was very healthy and he rarely fell ill. After a while, he became stunned as what had been written reminded him of something. Wasn't this when Jingwang confessed his love to him but he hadn't realized his own feelings and had a fight with Jingwang? At that time, he was only thinking of his own unhappiness. How could he have not known that Jingwang was also sick and unwell? I'm sorry. I didn't realize. Li Yu was so dismayed he was about to cry. Jingwang immediately shook his head, it's not your fault. I was careless. Jingwang got busy with consoling Li Yu. After receiving Jingwang's answer, the old physician went to discuss with the rest of the imperial physicians. Then he examined Jingwang's pulse extremely meticulously once more. The imperial physicians should have come directly to the emperor to report, but after the emperor learned that the imperial physicians still hadn't come up with the conclusion about Jingwang's condition, he couldn't sit still and personally came to the tent where Jingwang was. Just what's going on with Jingwang? The emperor asked with a heavy voice. After experiencing all that had happened earlier, the emperor had already decided to make Jingwang the crown prince. He really didn't want anything to happen to Jingwang now. The emperor was asking this personally. The old physician looked left and right and first requested the emperor to send away all of the irrelevant people. The emperor did so. Finally, the old physician knelt down and said, Your Majesty, according to our diagnosis, His Highness Jingwang should have been poisoned. Moreover, this was something that happened a long time ago. Because His Highness' situation was critical just now, His Highness' blood surged and actually caused him to cough up some of the poisoned blood that had been buried deep within his body. That's why we were able to discover it. Poison. Jingwang was shocked. The Emperor and Li Yu were both astonished. How could Jingwang be poisoned? Has the sixth prince done this? Li Yu felt his heart jump to his throat. Not even caring that the Emperor was present, he scrambled to ask, "Doctor, what kind of poison is this? Can it be cured?" "What do you mean by a long time ago?" According to Jingwang's statement, did he get poisoned more than a year ago? Because he was poisoned, that's why he coughed up black-colored blood? The Emperor didn't squabble about Li Yu's rudeness and said to the physician, "Answer quickly." Zhen also want to know the answers to these questions. The old physician organized his thoughts and said respectfully, "Your Majesty, Your Highness, please allow this official to answer the last question first. According to our diagnosis, the poison has been concealed in His Highness Jingwang's body for probably decades, until this year where its toxicity weakened slightly. This caused his blood to surge forth and unexpectedly reveal a clue to its presence. Tens of years." The Emperor was shocked. Jingwang was only in his 20s. How could he have been poisoned for tens of years? Seeing how Jingwang also looked very surprised, even Jingwang didn't know himself. "What you mean is that Jingwang was poisoned in his infancy?" The Emperor recalled how Jingwang was extremely weak upon birth. When he was very young, the imperial physicians had to treat him multiple times. He got better with age, but there were never any hints of poison. Furthermore, the imperial physicians usually check Jingwang's pulse regularly. Since he's been poisoned all this time, how come it wasn't discovered earlier? The old physician explained, "Your Majesty, this poison is not potent. His Highness Jingwang usually looks fine and it is very hard to tell with his pulse." The Emperor then asked, "Then is this poison life-threatening?" The old physician said hesitatingly, shaking his head, "This official only know that His Highness is currently poisoned. However, this official still need to cross-reference his pulse with medical books to figure out what kind of poison this is. However, since this poison has been inside His Highness' body for such a long time, it probably wouldn't threaten His Highness' life immediately." The Emperor was completely frustrated. He just finalized his decision to pick Jingwang as the crown prince. Now the heavens wanted to play this huge joke on him. Jingwang was born mute. His path had been bumpy enough already. And now the right and proper prince, the son of his first wife, somehow got poisoned inconspicuously right under his eyes. Since it occurred such a long time ago, it definitely couldn't be the work of the sixth prince, who was several years younger than Jingwang. Then who could it be? Who else wanted to harm Jingwang? The Emperor was both indignant and ashamed. Unable to protect Jingwang well, he really felt like he had let down the deceased Empress Xiaohui. "No matter what, you must cure Jingwang of this poison," the Emperor ordered. The old physician acknowledged it. The Emperor turned around and remembered the 4 boys. He anxiously asked, "Can this poison be inherited by his children?" The old physician couldn't really say. The Emperor ordered Wang Shi to carry over the 4 boys. The old physician checked their pulses one by one. Then he discussed with the other physicians for a long time before answering with certainty, "The little heir and the other 3 little lords are not poisoned." The Emperor finally received a piece of good news. This could be considered a fortune amongst misfortunes. The Emperor summoned Wang Shi over for questioning. Wang Shi had always served Jingwang. If Jingwang was poisoned during his youth, there must have been some irregularities. Wang Shi should know something. However, Wang Shi tried to remember again and again. In the end, he swore with his own life that he had never noticed Jingwang having any symptoms of being poisoned. The imperial physician suddenly announced that Jingwang had been poisoned. The time of poisoning was also many years ago. The emperor was already confused. However, since Wang Shi said it like that, even though the emperor felt it was too strange, he temporarily didn't have any other leads either. Li Yu dazedly and absent-mindedly listened to the emperor's questioning. After a long time, he finally recovered from his thoughts. So Jingwang had been poisoned since he was young? But how come he didn't know about it? This shouldn't be a small matter. Why didn't the original novel mention it at all? He remembered that in the original novel, Jingwang was very healthy in the end. Was this saying that if it weren't for the fact that Jingwang coughed up blood this time, they also wouldn't have discovered that Jingwang had been poisoned? And that this poison would have continued to hide inside his body? Then, just what exactly was the point of this poison? Normally when someone was poisoned, there would be symptoms. Jingwang he usually didn't look like someone who's been poisoned. In the original novel and here, Jingwang had no issues at all, except Li Yu was just getting ready to carry over some soup for Jingwang. Suddenly, his hands shook and with a plop, the silver spoon fell to the floor. Li Yu bent over to pick it up but his hands were shaking so much he almost couldn't pick it up. Just now, he had a very terrifying thought. Jingwang being poisoned in his youth was only the emperor and the physician's speculation. However, it was very strange that Wang Shi, who was responsible for taking care of Jingwang since his youth, had never noticed any irregularity with him. Li Yu trusted Wang Shi. Wang Gonggong had no reason to lie at this time. Could the timing of the poisoning be even earlier? Even before Wang Shi arrived by Jingwang's side? For this poison to be hidden so deeply, having no symptoms was impossible. Could it be that there was actually a symptom that's been overlooked by everyone? That's why no one realized. This symptom was Jingwang's biggest lament, him being mute. Even though Li Yu wasn't a doctor, he knew that inside court intrigue novels, there were some poisons which could make people deaf or mute. Is it possible the Jingwang wasn't born mute but rather a result of poisoning? Li Yu abruptly recalled some small things that occurred a while ago. In order to avoid passing on his disability to his offspring, Jingwang decided to not have any more children. Li Yu still wanted a daughter and refused to give up. He once inquired about the status of the Emperor and Empress Xiao Hui's ancestral lines. He wanted to calculate how high was the possibility of inheriting this disability. However, after asking around, he discovered that neither of Jingwang's parents had muteness in their bloodlines. In other words, within several generations of men and women, only Jingwang was mute. According to genetics, this was practically impossible. However, life was strange and complicated. Li Yu transmigrated while he was still young. His knowledge of genetics was very crude and simple. He was even more worried that this was only a character setting from the original novel. Now that he thought about it, many of the surprising settings in the original novel all had a reasonable explanation in this world. For example, how Jingwang's name, Tianqi, was not the same as the other princes. It turned out that Jingwang's name was originally Tianjing and his name was changed later. Then could the highly unlikely yet present muteness also had some other explanation to it? Perhaps Jingwang was drugged when he was very little, which caused people to mistake him for a naturally born mute later on. Perhaps it was also because of this that people didn't notice that Jingwang had been poisoned all this time. Of course, there were also only Li Yu's conjectures. If it were true, then it'd be too scary. It would be great if he could find some evidence that would either confirm or deny this hypothesis. When Jingwang was very little, so young that Wang Shi wasn't there yet, he was poisoned. A scene appeared in Li Yu's head of the infant Jingwang laying in swaddling clothes, looking at his own wet nurse. The wet nurse who swallowed a bag of powdered drugs with tears in her eyes. Oh fuck. Li Yu jumped up in fright by his own thoughts. Why would he suddenly recall this? This was Jingwang's secret. He had been unable to understand it all this time. Although the time matched and there was no Wang Shi then, but the person taking the drug here was the wet nurse, not. No wait. Liu started remembering a casual conversation he had with the princess of Jinju. The other seemed to have mentioned that after a wet nurse consumed medication, she can pass on the effect of the medication to a child through breast milk and use this method to treat infants. Then, what if the wet nurse drank poison? Would the infant also? Liu felt that after letting his thoughts run wild, he might have hit the mark. It was truly shocking. Xiaoyu. Seeing him in a trance, Jingwang squeezed his fingers slightly. Liu returned from his thoughts and controlled the impulse to tell Jingwang. Everything was still only his speculations. He couldn't recklessly tell Jingwang. What if it's not right and the poison had actually nothing to do with his muteness? Wouldn't that make Jingwang experience a moment of delight over nothing? The top priority here was to first help the imperial physicians figure out this poison. No matter what, I'll save you. Liu looked at Jingwang and decided resolutely. Sob. Fish loved him so much. He doesn't want to be a widow. End chapter.